I'm at 3952 Parker Place doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. The access point is the main stack. If you're facing the house from Parker, it is on the right rear. It's inside the garage. So it's, you can see this is the garage door opening, and here is the PVC stack. I expect it, based off the age of the house, to switch over to clay as soon as we get in. There we go. Now, this looks like there's some material in here, and I'm not really sure what that is. It looks like it could either be grease or construction debris. So I could get past it, and what we may do is try to run some water in this downstairs bathroom. As you can see, this is all shingle grit, if you look closely at it. And that's because the downspouts and stuff are tied into the sanitary. It's pretty normal to find that kind of stuff in there. And that water level isn't very high. That's barely covering the lens. That lens is only about a ½ inch off the bottom in a 6-inch pipe. So it's pretty normal to have a little bit of a low spot in spots, and as long as it's not drastic, it's not an issue. Now, I don't know how long this house is sat empty, but see just a little bit of roots there. And so what I may end up doing here is pulling back, because there's another root ball, a pretty big one here, because it's down actually in the flow line that I went over top. So this is probably going to need a cleaning, just to try to make sure that they get those roots, because what those roots will do is they'll catch toilet paper and wet wipes, stuff like that. Wet wipes are obviously a lot worse. Toilet paper will break down, and wet wipes will not. And so they are a huge problem on situations like that, where they can catch on the roots and then build up and cause a clog because they don't deteriorate in the water. The roots are obviously the main issue, but preventing the use of wet wipes can help tremendously with any of those backups. So I'm trying to get my camera to go past these roots here. Here we go. We have another little section of roots that I just looked past. And so we'll take it a little bit slower on the way back. And if I need to, I will make another pass with the standoff on the camera. But we have made it all the way to the main. So the main must actually be out on Parker and not on the side street. So it goes all the way underneath the whole house and then out the front. But, so the line looked good structurally overall. I didn't see any damage. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to go in and run some water and see if we can flush out some of this stuff to get rid of it. There were a couple chunks that you saw. Like I said, that could have been construction debris. It could have been grease. I believe the sink line comes down through here, and sometimes with the dishwasher and washing dishes, and even if you're not actively pouring grease down the drain, you can still have a situation where it does come down. There is some active downspouts and floor drains that are tied into this, and so that water flowing is most likely from that. It could also be from where my
you may not know that.
my head, where my the head of the camera poked through the little bit of roots on the bottom of the pipe. Again, that's probably going to need to be cleaned. And so I may just let this go, because I was going to try to run some water to to try to flush out those pieces, and I may just do that when I'm actually at it to watch how they dissipate. I mean, it looks like the line's going to have to be cleaned either way because of the roots. And as we pull back, we should be able to get a better look at the overall structure of the pipe and the see, that's a very slight offset. It's not a concern. Clay is a pretty good material. It's been around for over 100 years. Well, clay itself has obviously been around for generations, but for about 100 years they've used it in this area for sewer. And one of the biggest things you find is, just like we have here, you find root intrusion. The sections are only about 3 foot long, and so every 3 foot you have another connection, and so a lot of times the packing breaks down in between those fittings, and when that happens, the roots have a little bit of room to get in. As you can see, those are little tiny finger roots, and as long as you keep them at bay, they don't cause any major structural issues. You just want to make sure you get them taken care of, and you maintenance them on a regular basis. Every year or two, you can put chemicals down it, or you can have it mechanically cleaned every 3 to 5 years if done well. Just depends on what the situation is, but you can see just a little bit of roots, and they're down in the flow line. And I had a couple spots that were, you can see this is a pretty big chunk down in the flow line, and then the one where I had to actually punch my camera through. But yeah, and so the biggest issue is that they're just down in the flow line, and so it may be something you can just take care of with a chemical treatment. But there was one that was pretty large. I believe that was just it right there, where it could easily catch a hold of some. This was it right here. This could very easily catch toilet paper and stuff, as much as it's on the bedding of the pipe. Now, once people move in and start using this, so about 28, 29 feet, this would definitely, you can see it's holding water. And that could very easily catch, as high as my camera was, that could very easily catch a hold of some toilet paper or wet wipes and cause a clog. I've seen a lot worse. If those roots were coming in at the top of the pipe, it would be something you could wait a long time to maintenance. But being that they are down in the flow line, makes a little bit more of an issue. I mean, if you only use toilet paper, that could stay open for quite a while and you not notice it. But I would recommend it at the very minimum a chemical treatment, and you could get a second opinion on that from a plumber if you wanted to. And this is what I was talking about. So this is moving, and it doesn't seem very heavy. I can kind of move it, but it's a pretty large chunk of either grease. It could be some thin set from doing some construction. But based off of it looks very light, and it's starting to break up. So it could just be, there you go. I think I broke it up a lot. Yeah. So it's probably something that just got, they could have cleaned off some tools in the sink or something, and that's where that came from. But if you're going to go ahead and flush the line out, it would be good. What I am going to do, just to make sure that this can take off, I'm going to flush the toilet and run some water down here. I'm going to pause the video to do that, and we'll try to witness that this takes off down the pipe. That way you don't have anything to worry about with this little piece. Okay, well, the only way to flush this line out is to run the bathroom, or the kitchen sink, I'm sorry. And so we can't do that with the line open in the camera in, because it's so close to the bottom of this stack. But I did break up some of the stuff, so I'm not real concerned about that little piece, but you will have to do at least a chemical treatment for those roots. Structurally, the line looked great. just going to recommend either a chemical treatment or a jetting or a mechanical cleaning to be able to clean that. And that, to be able to do that, you would need to make sure that you are getting the whole pipe diameter. There is plenty of access here. This is a large clean out, so they will be able to get a large, what they call a 6-inch double knife, into here to be able to extract some of those roots in the flow line of that 6-inch line, and then they would but you may be able to just do some chemical treatment. Again, you could have a second opinion, get a second opinion by a plumber to see what they think is necessary. But structurally, the line looked good. It just needs a little bit of TLC. Again, you'll have to also, you want to once you have it cleaned, you would want to take another look at it in say 3 years, 4 years, just to kind of see how many roots are in the line and how fast they're growing, stuff like that, just to know more of a maintenance schedule to treat those roots or to have it cleaned, depending on what's easier, what you prefer, to just to be able to maintain the open sewer line. But again, the line looked great structurally, so that will end the inspection for 3952 Parker Place.